Hello, guys. On last two parts, we talk about uh, general information about certification of API 510 pressure vessel inspector examination, publication effectively, feed and body of knowledge. This section we are going to talk to you about the exam tutorial. If you're attending this exam, there is a couple of useful videos in our training course, what you should expect during the exam day and also API exam day at the Prometric Test Center. When you walk in, they'll check your credentials, like your photo ID. It should be a government issued photo ID like a passport, a driving license, and it should be valid. I emphasize on that it should be valid. If it's not valid, they will turn you away, and that is shown as a no show up. It is as good as failing the exam. So one of our um, candidate had a expired driving license. They didn't allow him. By the time he came back, they said it's too late and he has to do the exam 6 months later. So make sure that you have one, at least two um, photo ID, like a driving license and passport, and make sure that they are valid at the test center. So once they give you a locker, you go to put your belongings to the locker. You cannot take anything with you, not even a pen or paper, mobile phone, anything, except the wedding ring. You can only take a bottle of water with you. And so once they do ID check, they take a picture of you. They ask you to empty your pockets, so there is nothing there. They check your glasses, that it's not with some sort of a device or a camera. And they will ask you some security questions, and then they will usher you into your desk to start your exam. So once you click on that, your name would appear there and the name of the examination, say API 510 pressure vessel inspector exam, and it is your name. So once you confirm, you go to the exam tutorial. This tutorial is for 10 minutes to familiarize yourself with how the buttons work, how the mouse you work, and how the question is that. So, for example, if you're doing one of these API 510, 570, or 653, you will see this exam tutorial as is down here, and it's always better to familiarize yourself with this so you have less stress when you're going for your exam. And I'm going to quickly go through this tutorial and tell you what it is. So practically it tells you, once it asks your name, you confirm it, you come to this page, exam tutorial, and you have 10 minutes to go through it, or if you finish it earlier, so the minute you say finish this, you start your close book. The exam start ticking. So it says you have 170 questions, a total of 390 minutes for both closed book and open book. So the first closed book is 110 questions, 2 hours 45 minutes. Then you will have a 45-minute break, and then you will have 60 open book questions with 3 hours 45 minutes. So that's 40 questions per hour on average you have to answer on closed book, and 16 questions per hour on open book. So time management is important. You always want to try to finish it a little bit earlier, so that you have, say, 10-15 minutes to review all those flagged up questions. So it also tells you that it's a 2-part exam, and remember that the 45-minute break, that's the maximum break you can have. That means if you come after the 45-minute break, your exam for open book has already started. So that's going off your allocated time of 3 hours 45 minutes. Say if you come after 1 hour, and by the time you're at your desk, if 1 hour has passed, then when you finish the closed book section, then you don't have 3 hours 45 minutes. You have 3 hours 30 minutes here, or less if you drag it along. So try to attend comeback before the 45 minutes, because you need a few minutes to go again through all the security checks, and then be directed to your desk for to start your second part of the exam, which is the open book. Okay, this is very important. One of our candidates lost his way. He went out. He lost his way, so he came late. So 1 hour of his closed open book time allocated was gone by the time he came. So after a preliminary induction, it tells you what all this work. So when the exam starts, you see the test name, that in this case, say 510 pressure vessel inspector certification. You will have your time remaining is always there. The clock starts ticking. Now remember, if you go to the bathroom or for any reason, the clock does not stop. It keeps like reducing your time. So again, time management, and also you can see how many questions, which question you are. You can see on the left, you are on question number 2 here, as you can see, question number 2, and then there is a next button, and there is continue the test. If you take continue, and there is a back button. Okay, so it takes you to the test actually. If you finish the section, it takes you to the test. Okay, so don't finish it unless you have gone completely through this. Take your time, and as I said, time remaining here, it tells you how much time is left, and the exam is completed once this clock is 0. Okay. So using the mouse is same as any other desktop. You see an arrow here, that's where your mouse is. Okay. And if the question is too long and there is a continuation to the question, it says this page records scrolling. So you need to scroll down and see the whole thing, yeah, with the mouse. And the next button is the calculator icon. So once you click on the calculator icon on your desktop, you will have a calculator that you can do any calculation you need. They will also give you a couple of A4 size papers with a pen that you want to take a note of. The calculation are very, easy calculations, subtraction, deduction, so it's not a huge deal. And then these items show which question is it, the question number. An unanswered question will be a bit darker, so you know which one you answered, which one you did not answer, but don't worry, you don't need to go through this. At the end, you can see review all questions or all unanswered questions or all answered questions, so you can see that you have answered all the questions. And because there is no negative marking, answer all the questions, even if you are in doubt, but if you can flag them up, I'll talk to it. And this is a flag of question mark here. As you can see, there is a flag. So you can review if you are in doubt, still answer the question, choose the best answer, take a shot, and at the end you can go to flag of question. And the other thing is, don't spend more than, say, a minute on an open book, and not more than 2 minutes on a open book and 1 minute on a closed book question. If you cannot find the answer, just flag it off. Choose the answer, flag it off, and then come back later on your remaining time, if any, because you want to do a proper time management. You don't want to waste so much time on one single question and still without any definite choice. If there is multiple questions, it will tell you the multiple questions. Okay. Firstly, when you click on the chosen answer, it changes color, so you can see that you have chosen, say, answer C. Okay. Normally there is no answer that says none of the above or all of the above, nothing like that. If there is multiple questions, it also tells you, it says to select 2 that apply. So you have to select 2 out of these 4. There's very, very few questions, maybe 4 or 5 down. Previously there was none, but I heard there is some of the questions are multi-choice. So you have to answer that they change color. Okay. And there would be if there is a question that drag and drop, you have to click on that, hold it, and bring it to the box that it belongs to, you think it belongs to. For example, here, December 4th, June dog, and whether it's a month or it's the animal. So you have to drag the December and June to the month, and then horse and dog to the animal. And this is what it will look like. And then you can go to the next question. Okay. The other one is that connecting the dots. For example, if you want to click on cow and answer is wine, then you click on cow, the box, and then wine, and then this will connect that line, connect them together. Same as for cat and line, it will connect them together. So you have to click on the left-hand side box and then the appropriate right-hand side. So that would be connecting them together, and that would be the answer. This is a very useful button, the flag off. So I would suggest that you go through them. I'm not rushing you. Read the question carefully and see what is it exactly asking. Sometimes there is a correct statement, but the statement is irrelevant. So don't jump up the conclusion and click on that, because that might not be the correct answer simply because it's not relevant. It's a correct statement, but it's not relevant. Okay? So that can happen during the exam. So read the question carefully and then choose the answer, the best answer that you can find. But if you are not 100% sure, you can use this flag off button to flag it off. And then at the end, the remaining time, you go back to them, and then you can, with a peace of mind, no stress, you can see that whether that was the best choice or you have to change. And highlighting text, if you hold the mouse on a particular word and drag it, that would turn it yellow. If you want to focus exactly what is it asking, it says, how would you, that might be the actual question. So if you want to concentrate on that. And the striking out option is also I found it useful. For example, you got 4 answers, and you know that 2 are definitely wrong. And so you have to choose between, say here, between B and D. Yeah. So by reasoning, so what you do is you want to strike them off. So you put the mouse on this box and right click. So once you right click, strike it off. So that would help you to concentrate on the 2 best answers to choose from. It is a useful tip also. And you have a PDF viewer. So you have the list of the documents here. And then you have a pane to view. And then you can enlarge or downsize it, or you can highlight with this sign, which is a pen sign. Okay, and then highlight it if you want to concentrate on that. And remember that this is what it looks like, and it's the search button is disabled, so you cannot go to one of these during the open book and start using the search button. So you should know where you should find the answers. First, you need to know which code or recommended practice you need to consult with. And then the second thing is where exactly it is. And one of the tricks is you have a table of content, but if the codes are like 800-900 pages long, so it's difficult to find, then you can go to table of content, which is much smaller. So on a content, if it's too many things and you can't find it, go to. And the other trick would be just plug it off, select the answer, plug it off, and chances are when you're looking for answer for other open book question, you might find the answer for the question that you couldn't find the answer. Okay? So don't waste more than 2 minutes on any open book question. So it's very easy. You just select, say, in this case, API 510. You see the the document, and then you go through table of contents, and then click on that, and that page comes up. But the search button is disabled. So the only way that you can work comfortably during attempting the open book question is you actually work with the codes and recommended practices. Yeah. In our training course, we have said where you need to focus. We have highlighted all of them, and also in our slides, so that might help you as well. And if you want to leave a feedback, there is for each question you can leave a feedback here, whether this question doesn't look right. This might be one of the non-scored question or experimental question. Most probably that looks confusing. So you can challenge the question here, but remember that this is coming off your time, allocated time. The time does not stop if you give feedback. And the section review, this is very important. If you go to section review and you click on unattempted question, make sure there is nothing remaining there because there is no negative marking. So you are increasing your chances of passing by answering all the questions. I would always do that. So click on unattempted and see how many unattempted questions are there. Or click on attempted questions so to see that everything is answered. And then the flagged up question. Like if you click on flagged up question, you can see that there are two questions that are flagged up that at the end, I would recommend that you go there and have another look and see. So this is a very useful button as well. First, to know that you have done everything, answered all the questions. Second, that you have checked once again all the flagged up questions that you are in doubt. Okay. And ending exam question, if you click on the finish section, so that would do that. Or when your time is up. Okay. So once you do that, even before your time is up, so it says, it pop up and asks, are you sure? Or you have to say, click on the button that I would like to, finish the section. And that's it. And it will ask you again that. So it's 2 times it will ask you before you finish the section. I would not recommend that you finish earlier. You take your maximum time to utilize for, reviewing the question or whatever. And if you again click that finish the section, it will finish the section. So that section is finished and then your break starts. Or if it is a second part of the exam, then your exam is finished. Okay. And if you say no, you go back to the section. So this is the conclusion for tutorial, guys. On next part, we will talk about schedule and fees for API 510 pressure vessel inspector exam. Where is it held? How much it costs? Initial exam, rescheduling cost, or late exam fee cost, and when is it start, or when is the application deadline, etc. Thank you.